Hey everybody, this is Matt. I'm going to show you how to do the edit audio step for listening videos. So this step is very easy. Try not to overthink it. You're really just putting down all the audio in the right order. And what you need to be careful about is just the space between each of the clips. So I'm going to show you where in the server all of these files are. So you want Neptune, Video Team, Audio Assets, Listening. And in here there are lots of languages. Okay, so each of these languages has a folder for each of the different difficulties. Absolute beginner, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. If you don't see the right difficulty level in there or the right audio files, then just let me know and I'll transfer them over. And the video we're going to make today is going to be French Advanced number 1. So I'll switch to list view so you can see the details better. As you just kind of look at these, you can get an idea of where each video's files are. You see here that we have lesson 1 and these are all lesson 2. Goes down to lesson 5 in this case. And just kind of take a moment and look at all the files. So each one has a setup and a question. And then there's these dialog files. And these should go in ascending order from A to however many there are. Okay, so this is how you start off. You're going to get in Premiere, and in most cases I would not start from a new file. I would go into listening, find something close to what you're doing. So French listening intermediate is going to be close. Pretty much any. Okay, so this is for intermediate unit 1. Just kind of an overview of everything. We've got folders full of these After Effects compositions. We've got all these sequences, intro and outro audio, lesson audio. We've got a folder for each lesson. And then these sound effects. And the spacers, you can use them or not. I personally don't. So since this is not the unit we're working on, we're actually going to make an advanced one. I'm going to just copy this. I'm pressing Shift Command S to save as. I'm going to rename this as ADV. Notice how all of these are just the 3-letter codes for the unit. Okay, now that this is a different file, I'm going to rename all of these sequences. You know what? I'm just going to delete all but the first one. And then this sequence, I will clear everything out of it. Okay, so we've got a brand new sequence. Now I will duplicate this one and rename them. Okay, so for your lesson, you don't have to do this. I'm just doing it so it's easier for the next person. I'm also going to clear out these AE compositions since these are all for the intermediates. And again, if you are about to work on one, for example, you're about to work on advanced lesson 2, and you see that there's already an advanced sequence made, you don't have to do any of this. This is just because in this case, we are starting from scratch. This is the first unit of the lesson. So I'm going to do this little bit of housekeeping so you don't have to. Okay, you will want to keep the lesson intro and outro audio and the sound effects though, because those are going to stay constant for every lesson. Okay, so I'm going to import these. I'm just using Command I to import. And we're going to go to that folder, Audio Assets, Listening, French, Advanced. And so again here, you're not obligated to import all of them. Usually it's just nice while you're here anyway. I'm going to import all the ones for this unit because they're already ready. Okay, once these are imported, I'm going to divvy them up into the right folders. So these are the guys that we're going to actually want to work with. So now we're going to start editing, and this is the part where you can really start paying attention, because this is what's going to be the same for every single lesson that you edit. So you can memorize these numbers, but I'm just going to pull up the reference document. And what is this? Editing, listening, making listening lessons. So inside this document, there's really one part that's very important, and that is this part, because it shows you the exact times you need to wait. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my window just so I can see that. Okay. All right, so the very first thing you do is add the intro audio, and you know where that is. It's right here. So there's a short version and a normal version, and the reason for that is that the long intro is too long to sit through each time. It's going to have Gabriella come on. She's going to say stuff for basically 25 seconds. So we only do that every 5 lessons. The other ones are this shorter 18-second intro. So think about this. If you think about these as batches of 5. So number 1 is going to need the long intro, but number 2, 3, 4, and 5 need the short. 6 will need long. 7, 8, 9, 10 need short, and so on. So this is lesson 1, and I'm going to edit in the normal intro. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that these tracks are selected, and I'm just going to press the period button to edit that in. Okay, so that's onto the timeline. Now we see wait 1 second, add setup. So here you can use these spacers, and these have been made for you, and you can just drag in a 1 second clip. Make sure snapping's on. And you can use that as your spacer. What I do instead is I'm using my numpad on the far right side. I'm going to hit the plus key, 100, and then the enter key. And that, as long as your timeline is selected, then that's going to move you forward to the right. Okay, so now I'm free to add the question. So I'm going to look for the question. Actually, sorry, I need the setup. The setup's first. Now you're gonna, for all these clips are gonna kind of look like this, and you're gonna see, okay, here they don't start talking until frame 26, and that's gonna throw off our timing if we just leave these all in here. So it's good to just cut around the front and end of these clips. Don't cut too close, or else you might make it sound bad. This is just to cut off the excess. And again, I'm gonna press the period button to add that to the timeline. Okay, notice I'm clicking to select the timeline, and I'm gonna again press 100 to move this forward, and here I need to add the question. So again, I'm pressing I and O just to set these in and out points, clicking on the timeline, period key, whoops, wrong period key. I should specify that if you press the period key on the numpad, it's not gonna work. This is the period key that is on the main keyboard by your shift key. Okay, so next I see I need to wait 3 seconds and begin the dialogue. Okay, so plus 300. Okay, then here's all these dialogue things. So I have A1, A2, B, and C. Now if you ever see this A1, A2, that's not like 3 minutes where it means that this is take 1, this is take 2, and this would be the only one you need. In this case, it's a very long line which has been cut up into 2 different shots. So I'll open the first one. Let me just play through this so you can hear it.
Regardez le document, s'il vous plaît. Le graphique de gauche montre les ventes de l'entreprise sur les 3 dernières années et les prévisions de vente pour l'année présente.
Okay. I'm not going to play through the whole thing, it's long. So, I'm going to do the same thing here. Nothing special. We're going to follow the same pattern the entire time. Now I did that again. I'm going to put it to the timeline. And notice I say, put at least 15 frames between lines. That's just because it's a good kind of amount to wait, especially if you're cutting out all of these pauses at the very end. You need to make sure there's at least some pause, so I think that 15 frames is a good amount. Even if it's the same person speaking, as in this case, it's the same person
Si nous pouvons maintenir
but it's going to sound pretty natural when we play through it. So hold on, let me just listen to this, make sure it sounds okay.
progressivement sur les 3 dernières années. Si nous pouvons maintenir
Okay, so I feel like that makes a natural pause that might be, it's kind of indistinguishable if you're just listening to it. Okay, so next shot is this B. This should be a different voice actor.
Je vois, mais les vents tombent en Espagne.
Okay, so going to the end. Notice that these were recorded a little differently. Looks like this person was recorded in mono and this person was recorded in stereo. That's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. It shouldn't affect anything. Okay, there's one more clip here. All right, now that's the entire dialogue. Now I say, wait 3 seconds, repeat the question. So we'll go forward 3 seconds. Now what you could do is you can go back to this question clip, add that in again. I just memorize, let me zoom out a little bit. I just memorize that it's the second clip. This was the question. It goes setup and then question. So I'll copy, paste like that. Repeat the question. Now we're waiting 5 seconds plus 500. And we're going to copy, paste, setup and question. All right, we're going to copy these two. Paste. Wait 1 second. Copy, paste dialogue. 1 more second. And that's just all of this. So definitely don't apply these all to the timeline. Just copy and paste them. And then I see add outro section 1 second after the dialogue. So 1 second. And here's the outro. And that's just all going to go right there. There's only one version of the outro. You don't have to worry about what number of lesson this is. Okay, and once you're at this point, it's a good idea to listen through it, just to make sure everything sounds right.
Ready?
Un homme fait un rapport sur les performances de vente de son entreprise lors d'une réunion. Quels sont les 2 graphiques qu'il utilise pour sa présentation?
Okay. I'm not going to listen to that at all. Not that I would have much insight. Just you're making sure that you don't really miss any clips, which would happen easily. And since these should all be like alternating between male and female lines, unless you have a situation like this where it's one clip split up, then it should pretty much fit this pattern, even if you don't understand the language. Okay, so once you're at that point, you need to add these sound effects. Okay, so there is, if you look at this image, it's just kind of showing you what it needs to be like. There's 2 sound effects that we used. One happens right before the dialogue happens for the first time, and one happens as we're cueing them to answer the question. Okay, sound effects, we have beep and general middle. So general middle sounds like this. And it needs to go right after the question. So that's right here. After the question was asked for the first time. So you can do this however you want. I frankly find it's a pain to like unselect these and then move these down. You could do that and then it's like that. In this case, I'll just grab the audio thing and drag it down. No biggie. And the second one is this beep sound. And that goes big in this largest gap here, this 5 second gap. Okay, so I'm just going to drag that like that. So the question will sound like this.
Quels sont les 2 graphiques qu'il utilise pour sa présentation?
Okay, then we'll have about 4.5 seconds.
Un
And then
homme
we
fait
say
un
the dialogue again. And that's how it goes. And that is all there is to this step. So I talked a lot about like why you do these things, but just to give you an idea of how short these steps should actually take, here's what you'll do most of the time. So open up the sequence, make sure your tracks are selected. Intro, this time we want the short one, put that in, +1. Now we want lesson 2. Setup, put it in. Question, put it in. All right, now we have 3 seconds. Dialogue.
Quels sont les heures du matin?
De 23 heures. C'est exact.
Oopsie. Okay, this is the last clip of the dialogue. So we're going to wait 3 seconds, repeat the question, wait 5 seconds, set up in question, 1 second. I've been saying minutes, haven't I? Repeat the dialogue, 1 more, and the outro. And at this point, you would check through it. So that's how long one of these lessons should take you when you're not having to set up each one of these sequences. Okay, so this has been the listening lesson, edit audio step. I hope you enjoy doing this. At least it's pretty mindless. You don't have to think so very much, and you quickly fill up the recent task sheets and feel pretty cool. So, okay, hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me or anyone else who knows what they're doing and has done this step a lot. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.